Saturday, November 21st. Chase and I are down at the River Bottom Farm. We're trying something new. We're on the additional acres I purchased this past spring, and we're all the way on the far end of it. Down by the river, we have a northeast wind today. We haven't had too many north, so I came in on the south side of the farm and we just snuck up the river and hung this set. We're not too far off of that bow plot we hunted a little over a week ago and saw the big 8. He's the most interesting deer back here that I know of. I've had the black-eyed 10 and a lot of the other bucks in this area. I've never seen Daca Merino back here. This is that time of year that you can catch a random cruising buck looking for these last available does. At least we're starting to get into that time frame. So I'm hoping that we have, I think this setup works pretty well for that. Deer just coming and running the river. We got a long stretch of river right here and this little strip of timber alongside of it. The only other buck that I have over here was that one with all the splits. He could, he's another potential target in this area. I haven't seen him in a while, but I'd love to see him in person. I'm excited to see what he looks like next year. we've had constant action since the sun came up. There's that really white antlered 8-point that we've seen him a couple other times. He's tending a doe back in here from right at the break of daylight till just now. He walked her under the tree. The double beam buck came, he bristled up to him, they snort wheezed, and they both worked off in their separate ways, and the 8-point was still with the doe. Seen a couple other small bucks and a couple other does. We had a bunch of toms in here. We had our coyote come bust up all the turkeys. Been a lot of action. It's a really nice morning. Hopefully with that hot doe coming right under the tree, we'll have continued action the rest of the morning. It's about 11:30. We're going to pack it up and make a switch. Ended up having, a good hunt this morning. After the last time I talked to you guys, we ended up seeing a double beam buck again, and he was kind of pushing around 4 or 5 does and fawns. We saw a couple more small bucks, and pretty cool to see that 8-point right underneath the tree after seeing him a few times off in the distance. I'm not sure if I'm going to stay on this farm or move to a different farm. Jared hunted back in the peninsula this morning. I'm going to get down and chat with him, see what his plans are, and then we'll see you guys this afternoon. Well, Chase and I are set up for the afternoon hunt. We have made a switch. We've moved down to my smaller farm down in southern Iowa. It is my first hunt out here this year. I had bought this farm years ago because it was just a quarter mile down the road from my cabin farm that I sold. And I just never sold this piece. I like it. It butts up against a really, really large timber, holds a lot of deer. And this piece is just 52 acres. It's got 15 acres of tillable, and I planted corn here this year, and we just came in and combined it 2 nights ago. So I figured with the fresh cut corn, this spot could be pretty hot. There should be a lot of does feeding here, and that should hopefully draw the attention of some of these bucks. I'd given Grant and Max permission to hunt out here, and so they had come put cameras earlier in the summer. And then Chase came to switch them out to my Cuddeback cellular system a few weeks ago. When we pulled those cameras finally, because Grant and Max had tagged out and left to do other work, I had a deer that I recognized from last year. Last year I thought he was 3 or 4. He was a really nice mainframe 10 with some extra points. And this year he looks solid, looks like a really nice 6x6. He's got split brows, he's got some kickers, looks like a really good deer. This farm doesn't really hold deer because it's relatively small, but I've got some of the only food around here, so it can work pretty well in the afternoon. I did kill a buck here in 2018 with Cooper, if you guys remember. It was like a 6.5-year-old mainframe 9 with a split 2. There's always mature bucks in the area. With all this timber, it's probably 800 acres of timber, and for Iowa, that's a pretty big chunk of timber. We've got fresh cut corn, and I'm excited for a new spot.
ended up having pretty good activity there the last hour or so. Back at the truck now. We were covered up in deer, so we couldn't do the interview in the tree. We saw our first deer about an hour and 50 minutes before dark. It was a small buck, and he fed out there by himself for 30 or 40 minutes. And then with about 45 minutes left to go, the deer just started pouring out. I think we had 25 or 30 deer come out, 15 to 20 does and fawns, and a bunch of small bucks. Didn't see too much chasing around. It felt more like a late season hunt. All these deer just piling out and really focused on feeding and that fresh cut corn. It's interesting to already be seeing that, but that's not too far around the corner. We've got the Cuddeback cellular cameras shuffled around. Huge advantage of those cameras. It's my first year using them. This farm is 2.5 hours away. I can have good deer here. It's a good spot for me to take the wife and kids during shotgun or late muzzy. So we've got the camera set up kind of all around the main ridge top of cut corn there. And tomorrow I'll be back out. I'll be heading back to the river bottom farm looking for Dacker Merino. So we'll catch up with you guys then.